Hey, what's up guys? Today I want to show you guys how to do a clear solvent blend. And what do I mean by a clear solvent blend? Well, this is what I mean. When painting a bumper, like this for example, where I'm not going to have to paint the whole bumper, but I do have to paint the side of the bumper where it was repaired next to the quarter panel, what we do is we do a clear blend, like this right here. And so what a clear blend means is that I'm gonna paint the bumper up to the point where the damage was fixed. And then I'm gonna clear it, but only up to a certain point to blend it out, because there's no need to paint the whole bumper at this point. Now let me show you how I got it prepared. Okay, so let me show you. The initial damage was on the quarter panel of this car. There was a couple of scratches with the damage that happened on the bumper. So that's why you see I have primer going from the quarter panel up to the bumper. Now I'm only gonna cover with my base coat the area that was damaged and a little further out to blend it. And so what I have here is that I stopped right here with my sandpaper. And so what I did was I sanded the area, the main area over here with some 400 and 600 paper. And then I feathered out my sand scratches with 1,000 to blend it out over here. And so as you can tell, this area is still shiny and this area is sanded. And so I got it taped up with my plastic far away from the area where I'm gonna stop with my clear and blend it out. And so what happens is that you can cover this area up with a piece of paper, and I used to do this a lot. And I'll show you how to do it in case you want to try it out. But now I just keep it like this. I stopped here with my clear and I'll blend it out. And later after I'm done, what happens is the detailer will come and buff this area up to take any overspray that might have fallen this way off and make the rest of it blend out into the rest of the bumper. Now I have another area that I want to show you that has the same thing. Usually on cars, a quarter panel might have a cutoff somewhere here, and there'll be a rocker panel on the bottom of the car that goes to the front. In this case, I don't have that. The quarter panel goes right into the quarter panel without any breaks. And so I have the same situation here where I'm not gonna paint the whole quarter panel up to the front, but I am gonna blend it right here. So I stopped here with my 1,000 grit paper. This is still shiny, and when I clear, I'm gonna stop up to the point where I sand it and then spray some solvent to blend it out, and the clear is gonna melt into the rest of the panel. And so when preparing something like this, it's basically like preparing anything else, right? So you sand your panel. I sanded the bumper. The bumper has primer on it, so I sanded with 400, then 600, and then the area that's getting blend, I hit it with 1,000. That's the highest grit you want to do something like that with, because if you do it with like a 400 grit, that's too heavy. It's not gonna blend out properly, and the clear might not cover those sand scratches. So you always want to go into something that's getting blended into a 1,000 grit paper. The same thing goes for when you're blending a panel. When you're blending a panel, you sand with 1,000 grit paper, or you can scuff it down with a gray Scotch-Brite. But in this case, we always hit it with 1,000, scuffed it with a gray Scotch-Brite, and we're gonna blend it right in this area. And so the same thing goes for the panel that's over there. So I'm gonna show you another technique that I've used in the past with paper to cover up to the point, just in case you don't wanna go too far, in case you're not sure on how to do a blend like this without going too far. This just protects the rest of the shiny area that wasn't sanded from getting paint on it. So I'm gonna go get some paper and I'm gonna show you how to tape it up. You could do it either way. You could either do it like this. This is how I do it currently. And sometimes I'll put the paper depending on how the bumper is. I'm gonna go get some paper. Okay, so I got my paper. Now I'm gonna show you how to tape this up. That way you could cover the shiny area. That way, in case you're not comfortable with doing like this, you cover up the shiny area, the paper covers this side and keeps you painting only on the side that's been sanded. So this is what I do. There's something that when I was learning how to paint, we call this a bridge because it doesn't sit right on top of the panel or the bumper that you're blending. And so what we do is we put the paper like this, right? You stick it on the top and you stick it on the bottom while pulling out the middle section. Let me get the camera so I could show you that I got it pulled out. So while pulling out the middle section, kind of leaving like a breather area for air to blow through. Now I close it up a little bit tighter than this, but this is just for the example. So what it does is that it creates this bridge. It tells you have to stop right here where the bumper was sanded, and you don't go past this point. That way you don't get no paint or no clear past this point. And so what I do is that at this point, when it's got a bridge like this, I will flip the tape in to lock the tape in. That way there's no sticky parts of the tape accessible. That way if I'm painting, it doesn't try to stick back on the panel or the bumper. And that's another way that you could try it if you want to tape it up. That way when you're spraying, let's say you're spraying and you come with clear, you know this is where you're gonna stop. And it doesn't make a line because it's not sticking on the panel. It's got a nice little loop, and it's called a bridge. The way we call it is a bridge. That way the air blows in but doesn't go past to the point where you're getting clear or paint on the shiny part, which is no good. And so what I'll do is I'll close it up a little bit more. That way it's a little bit tight, but not so tight. You know, I'll close it up a little bit more. That way it's a little bit tight, but not so tight that when I spray, it ends up smacking on the bumper and causing a line. And so what this does, flipping the tape in and locking it into the inside, is what? It does two things. One, it keeps the tape from taping itself onto the panel. And the second thing is that it keeps it more sturdy. So since the tape is flapped in like this, it makes the loop a little bit stronger to stay basically looped like this. It gives it some strength and stability. And it keeps it nice and tight like that. That way the air blows in and you don't have a line here when you're blending it out. But I'll keep it like that for now, and then I'll show you what I do later on. Now you could do the same thing in the other spot where I'm blending if you want. Now you could do the same thing here with the paper. It's just gonna be a smaller loop. It's just the same. But I'm gonna keep this area like this, and I'm gonna keep the bumper area like that. And I'm gonna show you that it's not a big deal. I always keep it like this anyway because I know exactly where to stop, and I blend it like that, and it just polishes out later on nice and smooth. All right, I'm gonna start painting this car. I'm gonna show you what I do. Put my base coat down, blend my base coat on the bumper, and then clear it and show you how I melt the clear away on this car. Okay, so real quick, my base is completely covered and I'm ready for clear. As you can notice, I blended out my bumper to this point right here. I blended out my dog leg to the point where I have enough space that I can blend out my clear, and it's ready for clear at this point. So let me get a close-up look so you can see exactly how I blended it and exactly up to the point that I'm gonna put my blend clear. That way you can get a better idea of what it's supposed to look like if you want to do it this way. So if you can see right here, look at the paper, I stopped my blend right around here. This is exactly where I blended it up to. Now I'm gonna take my clear up to the point where the paper is. And right there, I'm gonna stop with my clear. When I put my second coat of clear, I'm gonna rip the paper off and spray my blender to melt the clear into the rest of the bumper. Same thing I'm gonna do right here. You can see right here, I still have this area sanded with 1000 grit. I stopped right here with my base coat. I'm gonna clear to this point and then spray my blender and melt the clear into the rest of the panel. Okay, I'm gonna turn the booth on, start clearing, and show you how I melt the clear after I finish my second coat. Always wipe your blend area lightly with the tack rag. Make sure that the overspray doesn't cause the clear to look like dirt. Always keep that in mind. Just give it a little wipe like this. clear looks a little bit cleaner and nicer because some overspray might fall on the blend area where you're gonna clear, and it might make it look like dirt. So just give it a little tack rag wipe. Okay, so now it's all cleared up, I'm ready to blend and melt my clear. Now there's two different kinds of clear blender that you can use. There is the one that you put in your gun that comes in a can like this. You pour it into your cup, you put it in your gun, and you spray it and melt out the clear. There's also the aerosol can that's like this. And this is the one I always use because it's just more convenient. You just spray the blender on the area that you're trying to melt a clear and you're done. Now this is the technique I always use because it's just quicker and easier. You can also, if you don't carry these kinds of blenders, back in the days when I didn't have access to these kinds of blenders, I used to just take a little bit of the reducer that I use to put in the clear or the base coat and just use the reducer to blend it out. And I pour it a little bit into a cup, put it in the gun, and just melt it out. Now, I don't know if you noticed when I was painting more the parts when I was clearing, I had to hold the paper because the paper wanted to push onto the bumper. So this is the reason why I stopped using this technique with this paper, because it would do that. So now I just keep the plastic far off to the side away from where I'm blending it, and I just let a little bit of overspray hit it, and it gets polished out later on anyway, so it doesn't really make a big deal. So I'm gonna take this paper off and I'm gonna blend it with my aerosol. So you see that I stopped with my clear right here up to where the paper was giving me access to. I would have done the same thing with the way I have it here because I can tell where it's sanded. I just stop with my clear there and just spray my blender, and whatever overspray goes over here just gets polished out later. And so here I got my blender, and all I do is, you know, always before you go right up against something, spray some out, and then go here. Get a nice little coverage on there. I always like to go out a little bit farther and spray it at least once or twice, and it's good to go. It's nice and melted. You can't even tell that it was blended. Now when the detail gets it, it'll polish out some of the overspray and it'll look brand new. Okay, so if you don't have the aerosol can, just use your gun. A little mist on it, a little bit at a time. Don't spray it like you're gonna spray base coat. Just mist it on, dust it, and make sure it just melts the clear away. Okay, so little mist right here. And that should be beautiful. That'll melt the clear away, and so that will melt the clear away and give access to polish it. Even with a small polisher, like a handheld polisher, that'll polish out nice and smooth. Okay guys, I want to interrupt this video real quick to show you guys another way that clear is blended on a post. Like over here in this instance where I'm painting this car, I have a new fender and I'm painting the post. Okay guys, I'm done clearing everything. The car's all cleared up, looks nice. So what I'm gonna do now is remove this paper very easily and gently. So I removed that paper. I'm gonna show you where I stopped with the clear. Like I told you before, the paper is like a barrier. It helps to tell you where to stop with the clear. That's exactly what it did. It stopped where I put it, for that way it won't go past that point into the shiny area. Stop my clear here. There's a little bit of overspray now. I'm gonna take my aerosol blender and melt that clear away. I always like to pull back the plastic a little bit in case some overspray might have came back this way, and just spritz it with a little bit of the blender, and that's it. There you go. This is just another example on how you can melt clear when you need to blend it in an area where you want to do a color match panel like this. Back to the video. Well guys, that's it for me for today. If you like this video, please hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell so that you can be notified every time I post a new video. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Bye.